Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Good Saturday, and welcome to the show. Listen, I'm glad to have you guys here. Today is Saturday, the 12th of June, 2021. Thank you for tuning in. Now, here's what I want to say. They got big plans, Central banks. Uh, New digital currency. Of course, you guys have all heard about this. New central bank digital currencies. Well, seems as though, from what I've been researching into this stuff lately, and quite rather deeply, and it seems as though they're going to run a parallel system to the dollar. I could be wrong about this, but what does that mean, a parallel system? It means that as the dollar starts to gain speed and it's losing its value, purchasing power, the dollar's so big in the world. I don't think people out there realize how huge it is and how many countries would be affected by a collapse in the dollar. I think what they're planning is some sort of a transition and a transitionary period. They want to get rid of cash, and they've wanted to for a long time. Of course, you guys all know this. You've heard about this, that they want to get rid of cash. But there's an awful lot of gold and silver in people's personal possessions, and not just in the United States, like here in Canada and a lot of places, people have gold and, they would never give it up, not willingly. But, we're heading toward a hyperinflation, guys. And gold and silver are one of the two biggest things there that's going to preserve your purchasing power. And that's because that's its job. That's what gold and silver's done over thousands of years. If you go back to the 1920s and stuff, you could buy a fine suit of clothing for 1 ounce of gold, and you can still buy a fine suit of clothing for 1 ounce of gold. But if you'd been invested in dollars back then, the dollar was worth $20 US. You can't buy a fine suit of clothing now for $20, but if you had bought an ounce of gold back in, say, in the 1920s, you'd still be able to use that ounce of gold to buy a fine suit of clothes, but that ounce of gold was only worth $20 back then. That's because it preserves your purchasing power. And we've seen silver and gold go up in price somewhat to where it is now. Gold was $11.50 and silver was down at $13.60, I think it was. Not that long ago. Now silver's 27 and change, and gold is like 1,800 and something, I haven't looked at it the exact price today, but that's quite a little bit higher than it was. This is reflecting the price of consumer inflation going up over the past number of months, And the real rate of inflation right now is running around 12%. Now, I get that number from Shadow Stats. What they're admitting to is 5%. But you can bet it's quite a bit higher than the 5% that they're admitting to, and it's going up. It's going up fast. Once the inflation genie's out of the bottle, it starts to really go at the price of consumer goods very quickly. People that sell consumer goods, merchants and stuff, start to get used to marking the price up. And they don't like to stop. There's been so much money created. And, all these checks that they've sent out and everything to different people, and unemployment insurance and everything else to try to get us through this COVID crisis. Here's what I think is going to happen with gold and silver. And it's actually a no-brainer if you want to think about it. Really think about it for a minute. When you hear me say it, it'll be a no-brainer. It's the big bullion, the dealers that sell on the markets, like in the retail space, to people that buy, like, say John Doe, he lives in a neighborhood and he wants to buy himself some gold or silver. He might go to APMEX, it's one of the big ones on the internet, or JM Bullion, or one of these big companies. There's quite a few of them. Retail bullion sales companies. and he'll go to buy his bullion right now. Well, they've had a lot of problems quite recently sourcing bullion to sell. I see a time coming in the not too distant future when the hyperinflation really starts, people start to actually see it. By the time you see it, it's on top of you. When people start to really see it, there's going to be a mad rush into gold and silver. People are going to be trying to buy it to get out of the dollar. And now I'm going to say something that I've said so many times before in the past, over the years. When that time comes, you're not going to be able to buy it. But these bullion dealers out there are not going to be able to source it. And this is their entire business, is selling gold and silver bullion. Now, I want to ask you a question. And this is a part that I said should be obvious. When they can't source any bullion, how are they going to stay in business? Because that is their business, to sell bullion, to sell physical bullion, to sell real precious metals to anybody that's going to buy them. That is their business. And if they cannot source any gold or silver, how are they going to stay in business? And if there's none coming in the future, they can't find any in the future because, the mining and the mining production of silver, it's all been spoken for by these big industrial firms and stuff that need silver to make all the products that you consume. And gold can just disappear just as quickly. If they can't source any, they're going to go out of business. And this is a no-brainer. If they go out of business, then how do you buy it? And if the price goes super high, you might not be able to buy it anyway. It might just be too darn expensive. It's not out of the question in a hyperinflation for the silver to go to, you name a number. How high? But now, there's something else that I've been talking about for a long time that's coming. And there's a lot of empty businesses and everything because of closures during the COVID. There's whole shopping malls that are empty. And I've been saying this for a long time. When this crisis hits and nobody is able to source any gold and silver and the prices going to the moon and beyond, in these shopping centers and stuff, you're going to see businesses open up overnight. They're going to spring up overnight out of nowhere. And a big sign on the door that says, "We buy gold and silver." They are not going to be there to sell you gold and silver. They're not a bullion, retail sales of bullion. That's not their business. Their business is going to be to buy it. And they're not going to sell to the general public. They're not going to sell to anybody. They're not even going to sell to you unless you got special connections. Because they're already going to have it all they can buy is going to already be spoken for. And that's why they went in business to begin with, is to collect for someone. Now what's going to happen is people are going to come in because it's a hyperinflation, and gold and silver prices they're going to be sitting on top of the moon. These businesses are just going to, if anybody brings in a pair of gold earrings or a silver coin or whatever, they're just going to slide it across the counter. They're going to weigh it or whatever, and they're just going to pay you for it. And they're going to take it and put it into a container of some sort where they sort it. And they might have a container full of gold that's 10 karat, a container full of 14 karat, 18 karat, 20 karat, 24 karat gold. They might have a big container full of sterling silver, a big container full of, and they'll buy anything. They don't care if it's an old tooth filling. These guys, they will buy anything, and they're going to be really on to get it. The big signs everywhere, and there's going to be these guys popping up everywhere. If you're in a big metropolitan city, there might be 10 of them pop up all over the city at different locations. And what it is that they're trying to do is they are going to be sending this gold and silver out to a smelter, and they're going to be melting it down into bars. And then it's going to be hauled away in one of these, these armored trucks when they get their inventory full, and it's just going to go away. But people are going to come in droves to sell, and the reason why is they're being pushed to sell. The money that they're going to be paying for that gold and silver is going to be so hot off of the press that the ink isn't even going to be dry. Because what you have is you have an entity at the top right now that can print unlimited amounts of money. And they want all the gold and silver. And they're going to get all the gold and silver. And they don't care how much of this funny money that they have to print to get it. What does that matter? As long as they get the real gold and silver. And so the people are going to be forced to sell to them. And the reason why is because your purchasing power of your money, when you go to work and you go to your job, your pay is probably only going to be going up at a rate of like 5 or 10% per year. They might even put it up to 20% per year, but that doesn't matter. If the currency's going, as the currency is losing value at a faster pace, what happens is it starts to shrink how far your money goes every month. And what that's going to do is it's going to force everybody to give up their gold and silver in order to eat. It's as simple as that. So people are going to be coming in droves to these dealers, selling their gold and silver. This is gold and silver confiscation. But it's done in a way where they're not really forcing you to give up the gold and silver. But in a way they are. And so what I'm basically telling you guys is they're going to confiscate the gold and silver by draining your life down and to the point where you're forced to sell it in order to eat. And you're not going to be able to buy gold and silver because it's going to be all allocated already. And these places that sell it, like on the internet, are not going to be available to sell it to you. So they're going to be shutting off the taps that way. You ain't going to get any. And in the other way, they're going to be draining you of what you already have, if you have any. But what difference is it going to make to you if you've got gold and silver now? I'll tell you exactly what the difference is going to make. Is you're going to find your friends and neighbors are going to get to the point, even if they're working 2 jobs, it doesn't matter. And not enough money is going to be coming in to pay all the bills every month because the prices are going to be going up so fast and so high, especially on food. You have no idea how much food is going to cost on this end of the hyperinflation. We're not going to, I really do not believe we're going to go into a period where there's going to be no food to be had. In other words, you go to the stores and the stores are all empty. I don't think that's coming. I think what's really coming is you're going to go to the food store and you're going to think you're in a sales for diamonds or something, or gold jewelry or something in a Neiman Marcus store or something on Beverly Hills. That's what the price of just canned food's going to be in a grocery store, and food that you normally have taken for granted all these years. And on the other side of this coin, these companies that sell food products and stuff, I mean, here's the situation we're in. Your food products, if you're a prepper and you've stored a lot of food away for yourself, those food products might go up quicker or just as fast as the gold and silver go up in value. And so the food's going to be there in the stores. It's just that you ain't going to be able to afford to buy it. So what's the government going to do? Like they always do. They always mess everything up. They always muck everything up. They're going to come in and try to put price controls in. Probably on certain items in the grocery store like meat, dairy, probably on certain basic food items. Just probably certain items, not all items, but just certain items. They're going to put price controls in to try to stem off the hyperinflation, the rising hyperinflation. That is just going to cause shortages in those particular items. Like maybe they'll do eggs. Put a price control on eggs. Make eggs the same price. All you're going to do is you're going to go into the grocery store and that particular item, there's going to be none available. The shelves are going to be all bare because the government put price controls in. It's not going to help. Price controls won't help. And food prices are going to go up so high that people are not going to be able to afford to eat. And so they're going to be forced to sell their gold and their silver, and this is your confiscation. And they're going to this program is going to sweep up all the excess gold and silver that they haven't already got. And they don't care about a guy, maybe a guy's got a stash or something. They don't really care about that. As long as they get the bulk of what's out there. That's more important to them. They're going to get vaults full of this stuff from the private sector. People trying to escape the hyperinflation and trying to just keep the two ends of the month together so that they can pay their electrical bill and eat and keep a roof over their head. So you're going to be working hard, maybe two people working hard, and that's only going to pay half of it. So then you'll have to dip into your silver and your gold. And now what's cryptocurrency going to do in all this? Well, you know, when these big companies can't source gold and silver anymore to sell, and the gold and silver is all being sucked up for industry and things like that, and the gold and silver market's basically dead, except for these guys that are buying it and smelting it and sending it back off, packing it back off to wherever it's going. When you get to that period in time, there's still going to be massive amounts of liquidity pouring out of the system to try for the government to try to hold everything together, to keep everything knitted together. That liquidity, a lot of it's going to pour into these cryptocurrencies. But at the same time, now at the start of this show, I talked about a parallel system of central bank digital currencies running parallel. And this is exactly what's I think is going to happen. Is I think that during this period in time, they're going to release their central bank digital currency. And I don't believe that they're going to give it away like they're giving away the dollar. They're going to hold the system together by giving away dollars. Universal basic income, social programs, and everything else. But the central bank digital currency, are they going to give that away? I don't think so. I think that's going to be the real hard money. And so I think they're going to run a parallel system. In other words, they're going to have that in place, running, up and running, but they're still going to be giving away the dollars to keep the system running. And by giving away the dollar is what's going to be devalued, where the central bank digital currency is probably going to be limited in supply, and it's probably going to have exceedingly good purchasing power. Maybe as much as the old dollar used to have. But you're not going to get it willy-nilly like you do these cheapo dollars. The dollar that's going down the toilet hole. The Fed coins, let's call them Fed coins, are probably going to be something that you're going to have to really work hard to get, to obtain. And they're going to have like I say, exceedingly good purchasing power, and they're probably actually going to go up in value. Go up in the amount that you can buy with them. And so what that's going to do is it's going to create a new financial system that's coming in as the old one's passing away. The new system is coming in to place, coming into play, and they're going to try to cure the poverty with the old system that's remaining while the new system is ushered in. And what you're going to see is all of these businesses and everybody is going to probably start to transfer their wealth from the old system into the new system. And the new system would be vibrant while the old system is in decay. And when that new system of central bank digital currency starts to become powerful at that point, in other words, there's a lot of money backing it up, and an awful lot of businesses are using it, and everybody is starting to use it really much, using it a lot, and it's got a lot of value behind it. The system's going to actually start to transfer and actually going to start to run on it. But at that point, the people that haven't made that transition are going to really be out of luck, because the old money is going to be going down in value so quick that they're not going to be able to support themselves in any meaningful way, being supported by that old money or old dollars. And at a certain point, it's on its way to zero. And so they got a limited amount of time, these people that are on the old system. In other words, if you're reliant upon, say, to be your Social Security or they're going to pay it. So if you're connected to the government and your income is coming in from the government, they're going to keep that old system running. And they're going to pay everything. But what you're able to buy with it is going to be diminished and diminished and diminished and diminished and diminished. And it's going to be like forcing you to make the transition into the new system of money, but through a slower process than a sudden abrupt. See, what would cause the system to catastrophically fail is a sudden abrupt destruction of the dollar. And this, I think what they're planning is some sort of a transitionary period. A transitionary period from the old monetary system to a new monetary system. I think this is the way they're going to go with it, to try to save us from having an utter, total, catastrophic collapse. But you know what? They better get going at it pretty soon. They better not drag their heels too much longer. They better start to establish this new system, this new monetary system in place that has value. They better start to put it in place soon, because what we're doing is we're getting so over leveraged now at this point, we risk a catastrophic failure of the system by default. So they better get hurrying on it. They better hurry it up and start getting it in place. The best way for them to do that is to find what actually works best out there. We got a lot of cryptocurrencies. We got 3 different tiers of blockchain technology out there right now. We got the first level tier, which is Bitcoin, old and slow. That's the original technology, you know. And then we got the second tier. That's things like Ethereum. It's faster, you know. And now we got the third tier ones coming out that can handle like a million transactions per second. These third tier ones. Not very many of them around yet. And the technology is in its well, it's not really in its infancy. It's been around for a couple years yet. But that technology is so much better than the original cryptocurrency or cryptographic technology. It's like light years ahead. And it's been patented, I guess, from what I understand. It's not what do they call it, open source or whatever. But that technology base of the newer ones, the faster ones, is the ones that they're probably going to have to go with in order to make it suit for the whole world. In other words, if they replace these networks that's in place right now, they're going to need a high TPS. It's not going to work for them to just have like 3 transactions per second, like the Bitcoin network. Visa network, when they get something like a big Black Sale Friday sale or whatever, it can push the network to like needing 25, 30,000 per second transactions. Otherwise, their network freezes. So they're going to need something in the order of probably at least 100,000 transactions per second to run a worldwide network of these new central bank digital currencies. There's only one cryptographic technology out there that I think can fit the bill for that right now, at this point in time. Now, maybe they're developing new other ones, but there's only one right now, and I'm going to name it, and that's Hedera Hashgraph. Or let's not say Hedera Hashgraph, let's just say Hashgraph technology. And that technology is owned. But you know, just because that technology is owned doesn't mean that the government might not use it. But that's the only one I know out there right now that can handle that kind of transaction volume for the entire world. Now, some of these other coins out there, you know, can do like 5,000 and 10,000. If they did a little bit more, they could get up there, they could handle it. You know, they'd probably need at least 50,000 in order to seriously handle worldwide transaction volume. You know? At any rate, you got to watch for these things, because these things this is all happening really fast behind the scenes. They're working these things in. And in order for you guys to be successful, you have to be a little bit ahead of the curve. And so the things I'm talking about on my show, you know, I'm trying to keep you guys ahead of the curve, because they're staying ahead of the curve on you. I'm talking about the ones in power, have already progressed to stage 2, and you guys are back here on stage 1, and they're already ahead of you on all this. You know? But in order for you guys to survive through the hyperinflation and keep a meal on your table, because what's coming is frightful. The Germans went through a hyperinflation in the 1920s, and there's not many of them left alive now that went through that can tell you what it was like, but we have history books to explain what it was like, and it was frightful. It's not fun going through a hyperinflation. And if you guys aren't prepared for it, it's coming whether you're prepared for it or not. You want to eat? You like to eat? I personally like to eat. You wanna think about having something that's hedged out of the dollar right now, because think that your dollars in your bank account is how you've been eating up till now. Get money in the bank, you're hungry, you go down to Arby's or you go to KFC, and you just pull out your debit card, and you get yourself a Whopper or whatever at the Burger King, right? It's all paid for. What was it, like $6.95? No problem, Bob. Just slide your debit card across there. Well, now, what are you going to do when you drive in there and a Whopper's $169.95? Yeah, you can still buy it, but now you're not going to have money for your power bill. So you're going to go hungry. So you can get your power bill paid. You're going to have a tough choice. Well, you know, by that time, silver might be $1,000 an ounce. Or more. You know? But it's still it's gonna have maintained your purchasing power, because, you know, back when silver was $13 an ounce, the Whoppers were like $1.49. So you could buy like 10 of them, and a tax, you know, or whatever. For an ounce of silver, you could buy like 10 Whoppers. Well, you know, if silver's like $1,699 an ounce and a Whopper's $169, it still buys 10 Whoppers. But your paycheck that you get at work might be not that much different. And you just can't afford to eat or whatever. In other words, what I'm trying to tell you guys is the ability of gold and silver to retain your purchasing power might enable you to eat when other people can't afford to eat because it's hyperinflation. You can't trust the dollar anymore. The banks are probably not going to go bankrupt. They're going to pay everything. The banks are still going to have your money. But there's a time coming in the hyperinflation where if you've got $100,000 in the bank, it's going to cost more to drive to the bank to get the $100,000 out than what the money's worth. Now think how much gold or silver you could buy right now. Think how much cryptocurrencies you could buy right now for $100,000. And think about the guy that's got the $100,000 in the bank. He's going to leave it in there until it's only worth the price of the gas to drive and get it. He's basically lost his money. His money's still there. Still $100,000. But if you can't even purchase a gallon of gas with the darn thing to get to the bank, it's not even worth driving in there to take it out. What will silver price be by then? Who knows? Maybe $1 million an ounce. There's no limit to how high, priced in dollars, gold and silver can go. There's no limit to how high cryptocurrencies can go, and you can get trapped on all this stuff during a hyperinflation. People do not realize the power of a hyperinflation when a currency is on its way to zero. In Zimbabwe, they quite literally printed $100 trillion bills during the hyperinflation. And it's not uncommon for prices to double daily, day after day after day. So no wonder everybody, if they're smart, but it's a trap. Because right now, we're sitting on this side and there's big question marks. Oh, are we going to have a deflation? Should you save dollars? All these questions, by the time all these questions go out the window and you really see that it's hyperinflation, you're going to pay a heck of a lot more for your silver or gold if you can get it. You're going to pay a heck of a lot more for your cryptocurrencies if you can get it. And even things that are like, I want to buy a car, or you want to buy something you might need for your house or whatever. The prices of them are going to go up too. It's all going to go up. And the dollar is going to go down the poop hole. And I think that they're going to slip this new digital system in that has value during that time. And so what we're headed into is it's uncertain times. The Chinese had a proverb. They said, may you live in interesting times. It was a curse. Right now, we are in the most interesting times. I've never seen anything like it in my lifetime. And to predict exactly what's going to happen is almost impossible. But you can see certain things lining up ahead. And I see this whole thing with these stores that want to try to get gold and silver popping up everywhere. We buy gold. We buy silver. And you know what they're going to be looking for? They're going to be looking for a gold necklace, or maybe a gold earrings, or a pair of gold cufflinks, or they'll even be buying gold-filled things they wouldn't buy right now. You walk into those stores right now, they already exist, golden bullion dealers or whatever, and you slide a necklace on the table, and he takes a look at it, it says GF on it, gold-filled, and he slides it back, and he says, this is useless, this isn't worth anything. Yeah, but it says gold, GF, gold. No, he says it's gold-filled. We don't buy that. They'll even be buying gold-filled stuff because they can get a certain amount of gold out of it through smelting processes and stuff. They'll even be buying things that have a silver coating, like silver-plated cutlery. When this time comes, they're going to be so desperate to get anything that's got, even if it even smells like gold or silver, they'll buy it. You know, they'll buy teeth. Like I say, they'll buy old dental fillings and stuff. They're going to be out for gold and silver like you've never seen before. And the price, you have no idea how high prices can go on gold and silver during a hyperinflation. I mean, I'm pounding this into you guys because you guys just do not realize the desperate how desperate people get to get out of a dying currency. And it's coming. This inflation transitory? Baloney. It would be transitory if they just quit. If they just say, okay, we've printed too much money and inflation and our interest rates are too low right now. Let's just let the interest rates. I mean, don't you guys think it's kind of fishy? With a consumer inflation number coming in of 5%, and the U.S. 10-year falling off from 1.5 something down to 1.4 something. The U.S. 10-year should be going up at least. It should be jumping like, it should be heading over 2%, 3% right now with these rates of inflation coming in. No, they're not quitting. And if they were to quit, we would have a deflation, a great deflation of the system. And your dollar would preserve its purchasing power. In fact, maybe gain purchasing power. But no, they're not going to quit. They're not going to quit because it would be an utter catastrophic collapse of the system. So what are they going to do? They're going to have to keep trudging forward. And if they keep trudging forward, they're eventually going to kill the dollar completely. But I think they already know this. In fact, I think they know all the stuff I've been telling you guys over the last 30 minutes or so. Everything I've been talking about. They already know it. It's just that you guys don't know it. And a lot of you right now probably trying to save, probably all in dollars, everything you have. Think about everything you have. Think about everything you have right now. And is it all dollars? Is it all dollar denominated? Maybe you have stocks, maybe you have bonds, maybe you have cash put away, maybe you have money in the bank. And what about your house? You got a mortgage on it, and your car might be leased. What do you really got? If we get a hyperinflation, what do you really got? Because your job ain't going to keep up. What's a job going to go up 5% a year, and a hyperinflation could be 5% daily? What do you got? You need to really start thinking right now about what you're going to get while you can still get it, to hedge against this hyperinflation so that you can keep a meal on your table. Thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe. We'll catch you guys in the next show. Bye-bye.